What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Our NFL draft content coverage continues to wrap up the defensive side of the football field with a top 10 defensive tackle position rankings. Joining me, as always, he is Ryan Reese of Philly Sports Alliance. Go check him out. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, man. I've been loving the fact that we've been letting the fans decide what position we go to next, and it is no surprise that we have been all defense for the most part, all pretty much in a row. So after today, we're going to have to switch over to the offense and get some of the skill positions in. But yeah, we'll be talking about the big boys today.
Yeah, where's the beef? It's today. We're talking the run stuffers, the nose tackles. And I'll throw it to you before we jump into our number one here. Could Howie Roseman go back-to-back defensive tackles? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter,
man,
Johnny Newton in round one?
Right? Yeah, I mean, geez. Listen, I think that's more likely than them selecting a linebacker in round one. So take that for whatever it's worth. But
you can't say no. It's not.
Yeah, I think honestly, it all comes down to how you feel about Jordan Davis, because we all know what we have in Jalen Carter. Is Jordan Davis an acceptable starter moving forward? You take Fletcher Cox out of it, and are those two an acceptable middle of your defensive line? And a lot of people see Jordan Davis as somebody that has the potential to be great, but there's a lot of people that think he's going to be no better than a Broderick Bunkley. So it's really all in what Howie and the Eagles view Jordan Davis and his future, with the Philadelphia Eagles. Whether or not they decide to, go early, I would assume they're still going to want to select somebody because they need depth. So we shall see.
How much they invest assets into the defensive line, man. And to be fair, they're not getting home like they were. So, let's jump right into our number one defensive tackle prospect. I've got odds. Ryan's got evens. Let's jump right in to Gerzon Newton out of Illinois, man. Number one in our rankings. He goes by Johnny. Johnny Newton has just been a steady climber during the 2023 season. He came into this season as a first-round talent, ended the 2023 season, in my opinion, as a potential top 10 or top 15 selection. For me personally, this is the cream of the crop for the defensive tackle class. He's ridiculously strong and stout at the point of attack against the run, has little to no issues getting off blocks, making plays outside of his gap with his amazing blend of strength and athleticism. As a pass rusher, he's got a nice move set, who can win around the edges, win inside. He's got really impressive bend for a defensive tackle prospect. Explosive first step, relentless motor, great hands, excellent hand quickness, man. It's almost impossible to block Johnny Newton one-on-one. When you watch the tape, man, he just pops every single time. He's probably one of the more underrated players in college football who's just brought it every single week, and not a lot of people talk about. He's just a defensive line coach's dream with his relentless pursuit of the football, and it's just really fun he's a really fun player to watch. Like you can see his love for the game of football when he's come around the edge and just dominating backfields. Negative wise, he doesn't have a great size for a defensive tackle. It says 6'3", 295 pounds. And it really bears watching how he measures in at the combine. He could potentially have shorter arms. I'm not sure. And that smaller frame and stature could limit his bull rush that we've seen a lot at the college level, translating into that NFL level and limiting how much extension he can get. But overall, man, I think this guy is an upfield defensive lineman who displays multiple pass rush moves, and quick diagnosing ability to be a consistent backfield disruptor. I think scheming scheme will determine just how immediately effective Newton is as a 3-down lineman. He's kind of like the opposite of Jordan Davis. He definitely has question marks as a 3-down starter at the start of his career, more so against the run. I think he could get bullied a little bit against a team that knows how to attack him. But as a pass rusher, this guy has defensive versatility, can be put anywhere across the defensive line, just like we see the Eagles utilize Jalen Carter. And I'm telling you, like, I guarantee you Howie Roseman loves this guy for his ability to play inside, to play outside, and dominate as a pass rusher in different situations. Any thoughts on Curzon Newton?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's just definitely a guy that Howie, I guarantee, is hoping somehow he can move up and get to, even though, again, as we said, the position isn't shouldn't be anyway of that much importance comparative to others. But yeah, this guy is absolutely, he's got a motor, he's got absolute versatility, as you said, can play anywhere along the line. And man, I mean, I could just imagine, you know, with Jordan Davis and Sweat and Carter and Newton on the one line together, you know, with you know, Reddick coming off the side. I mean, Jesus. I mean, what are you supposed to do about that? So, yeah, this guy is absolute. Should be you know, front half of the first round for sure, and should I believe should. I'll say right now, easily should be the first D tackle off the board right now.
Yeah. All right. Let's roll on to number 2. Really great talent here. Leonard Taylor III out of Miami. Ryan, you're up.
Yeah, listen, you know, Miami certainly has themselves a good defensive team. You know, as we just went over the safeties, as 2 of their safeties were in our top 10. But yeah, Leonard Taylor is, you know, he's somebody that is extremely quick and agile, has an amazing burst, especially for the sheer size of this guy, and really is able to penetrate the pocket, utilizing that speed. But you know, after you know, once he gets that speed going, then he's got that power. You know, he's a little bit raw. And needs to kind of use his hands a little bit more effectively. But I feel like good coaching in the NFL can really kind of bridge that gap for him. You know, he certainly is. You know, I have definitely thought he's, you know, a definite top 3 D tackle. You know, coming into this season, and he certainly proved it this year. But you know, he has a real good, powerful lower body that it's able to hold up. Point of attack, especially against the run, and really is an instinctive run defender. You know, he does use his size to his advantage in that way. But like I said, he also has that surprising quickness to go along, you know, with his size and his, you know, strength. So, yeah, he definitely is gonna be a good starter in the NFL. Somebody that can, you know, I believe can play 3 downs, and especially if he's able to kind of, you know, utilize or fix maybe the inconsistencies, as I said, with his hands, and maybe be a little bit more, you know, aggressive, a little bit more violent. But yeah, he definitely, I definitely really like that Miami defense. And you know, after the safeties, as we said, it's Taylor for me as the guy to take a look at. You know, just absolute stud, easy first rounder.
Leonard Taylor is really interesting. He's the first of what will be many of guys where we say the same exact thing. The theme of this show is tons of potential, tons of upside, great physical tools.
Mm-hmm.
Just needs to put it all together. And
well, yeah, a little raw, a little inconsistent, yeah. But like I said, I think the one knock on him again is he needs to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more violent, and he also needs to utilize his hands, especially when, you know, pass rushing. And I think again, I think that is something that in the NFL will get cleaned up. And we'll be talking about Taylor for sure, in years to come.
Yep. Talk about another physical specimen. Whew. It is Mason Smith, defensive tackle prospect out of LSU, coming in number 3. We've talked a lot about risers and climbers in these shows
Oh, yeah.
over the last several weeks, but shockingly, one of the biggest fallers this year has been Mason Smith, widely projected as a top 10 prospect heading into 2023. He's a former 5-star recruit. He's been a big name since his true freshman season, has always brought on a ton of hype, a ton of excitement. However, he's now mostly considered a 2 guy at this current juncture. On the surface, Mason Smith just looks the part. The size, the athleticism, the strong lower body to hold the point of attack in the run game. He's got an excellent combination of just size, length, bulk. He carries his weight extremely well. Long summary short, all the physical components are all there, and it just it gives him great alignment versatility to play all across the defensive line and play in multiple schemes at the next level, potentially. However, when you look at the concerns, he's got a lot to prove on tape. The production, the effort, the consistency has never matched his level of hype and buzz. He finished 2023 with 1.5 sacks and 3.5 tackles for loss in 11 games. There's been, a lot of tape where he's just kind of gone missing. He looks to his teammates more than rather him making the play. He missed nearly all of 2022 due to a knee injury. So he's missed extensive games during his career. I think there's little question that Mason Smith has the physical prowess to become a first-round, top-tier, blue-chip prospect. But his ability to stay healthy and fulfill that potential and ceiling is still a work in progress. He's going to be one of the more fascinating cases as we go through this draft process because, all it takes is one team to say, yeah, we'll bank on that upside. But he's an interesting one. Any thoughts on Mason Smith?
Yeah, no, I think prior to the season, you'd say he was an easy first rounder. And, again, he had a little bit of an underwhelming season. And yeah, you're right. I think this might be one of those cases where, draft stock might be a day 2, but, there's got to be a team, I think, that takes a chance on him, towards the end of the first round. I think he sneaks in. Just, again, the pure, physicality of this guy and just the way he plays. At times can be scary. So I definitely look for a team to take that chance. And, again, hopefully, people are probably a little concerned about the durability, the inconsistencies, the rawness. But yeah, I think this is a potential guy that could come in, to the normal, person, be like, where did this guy come from? Nobody's heard of this guy. And all of a sudden, then he's, in the next couple of years, you're like, oh, okay, this is a guy. So, yeah, I look for him to sneak into the first round for sure. But, yeah, somebody's going to have to take that chance, though.
One of the ultimate boomer bust picks in this draft. We'll definitely do a show on boomer bust.
Yeah, we have to, right?
He's going to be on that list.
For sure.
This draft has a bunch of those guys. Let's roll on to number 4, and a guy that I think has to have a huge game on Monday for Texas. It is T'Vondre Sweat and him, containing Dylan Johnson of Washington, a tank of a running back. And if Texas wants any chance at slowing down Washington's offense, it starts with controlling the line of scrimmage. And T'Vondre Sweat is one of the best run defenders in this group. Ryan, thoughts on T'Vondre Sweat?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You said it perfectly. While I think a lot of Washington's offense, I think when you look at it, is through the air. But man, when their offense is clicking, it's because of their ground game, and Sweat is absolutely going to have to be such an integral part for Texas in order to win that side of the football. But yeah, this is a big boy right here. This guy is 6'4", 360 plus. He is absolutely just just I think you even say it right here, a mountain of a man. Yeah, he absolutely is. And he plays that way. He has this combination of strength to go with, really good and quick footwork. And he's able to really fill in those gaps, especially, again, for a run defense. But he also does have kind of a natural power to him and able to push that pocket with a really good bull rush. He's able to kind of get and play with leverage. Being so big, usually you just kind of use your strength and just kind of push back. But he plays with a good leverage and really has kind of an eye in the backfield at all times. So I think the penetration skills, able to getting. He may not be the tackle, the guy who gets the tackle, but he is absolutely the reason why the running back just tried to jump 5 yards to the left to avoid him. So, he is definitely somebody that affects the running game by far. But yeah, as again, I feel like we're going to say this a lot. He's certainly a little bit raw. He's a little bit inconsistent. The hand use lacks a bit of aggression, of violence, as they say. He sometimes can struggle to shed his blockers and doesn't really necessarily show good angles at times. But, again, I think he needs to lean on that size and length of his, especially in the pass rush. He can be very effective. He just needs to, be confident in using his God-given size. So, but yeah, I actually like this guy. I think, he's definitely for me, he's definitely a second rounder and somebody that, I'm not gonna lie, I would love the Eagles to kind of, again, of how he's going to go line, as they probably will at some point early. This is definitely one of my guys that I would love for the Eagles to go after. Just, we all look at Jordan Davis as a big guy. This is a big guy too. And just him, Davis, Carter. It would be something else. Yeah, it would be something else.
A rotation at nose tackle of Davis and Sweat would be pretty nuts.
Right?
I think he's a day two guy. Just absolutely ridiculous size, length, and power, man. He's nuts. Really good prospect. Again, quick note: Byron Murphy is not on this list. He just missed my top 10 rankings. He's another very good defensive tackle for Texas. So keep an eye on him on Monday for the the semifinal for that one. But Byron Murphy is also very good. But I like T'Vondre Sweat just a little bit more.
I like him a lot. Yeah.
All right, let's roll on to another one to know, especially for that Monday's matchup between Bama and Michigan. Coming in number 5, Chris Jenkins. Really fun prospect. First up, Chris Jenkins is just yet another elite run defender. Just, pretty good size, 6'2", 295 pounds. I definitely think he's bigger than that. I made these graphics during the offseason, and I could probably promise you he's bigger than those numbers indicate. His ability to play with good leverage is his calling card. Routinely commands double teams. He's got very good play strength. I think he will be a very good B-gap defender in the NFL from day one. Negative-wise, I know he was part of Bruce Feldman's physical freak list, and Chris Jenkins' athleticism, I think, though, is only seen in flashes. I have never really came away watching a Michigan game and be like, wow, that is an athletic freak. He'll have reps where his movement skills do drop your jaw, but I always find myself thinking that he's more of a strength and power kind of guy. I think his ceiling will be determined by how much more disruptive he can be, and he can prove himself to be against the pass. He's already a reliable gap control defender who can stack the point of attack and stuff the run. But as a pass rusher, he doesn't really have great get off. I think he projects as a good run defender who has a high ceiling as a pass rusher. But again, great physical tool set, just doesn't have it all put together. He needs a little further refinement and coaching at the next level. Still has a bit way to go when it comes to that pass rush move set, but this is a potentially top 50 player when it comes to talent alone. And I think he's got one of the highest floors in this year's draft. Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. Any thoughts on him, man?
Yeah, listen, that Michigan defense, is certainly something to keep your eye on, and yeah, he's definitely Jenkins is a guy that you really do want to focus on because especially defensive tackles, sometimes it's hard to get noticed. They do a lot that isn't going to show up on a stat sheet, but man, they affect plays all the time. And Jenkins, I think, is one of those guys where maybe his skill set doesn't really show on paper so much, but when you watch a Michigan game, you're noticing that the offense is very aware of Chris Jenkins, and that's something to be said about that for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of sack numbers, but make sure you look into the pressures. He has ridiculous number of pressures. A ridiculous number of run stops. So kind of go beyond the surface stats when it comes to Chris Jenkins. I think he could be a round 2, round 3 guy. Day 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Let's roll on to Georgia. And if you're an Eagles fan, you got to know about this guy.
Right?
Their pension to draft these guys.
I mean, could Howie go 3 years in a row drafting Georgia defensive tackles? I mean, wouldn't that be something? And I feel like Stackhouse is probably mid round 3-ish, somewhere in there. Again, obviously, lot to still happen here, but this is a guy that again is coming and trying to replace what potentially could be the defensive rookie of the year. And he's a really, really, really good in the run game, has considerable strength. I really do like his footwork. It seems it's very sound, and it's very as it should be for a defensive tackle, I feel like. But he has an ability to fill the gaps. He has an ability to kind of recover from blocks. And one thing I keep reading over and over and over about Stackhouse is he's not a guy that goes to the ground a lot. And that's something to be said, where he stays upright, he stays himself into play, he stays engaged, and he has he just has amazing balance. And honestly, it's funny, he attributes that, he's been asked about this quite a bit. He attributes he used to wrestle in high school, and somebody like that who kind of has that ability really does show in not only his balance, but in his when he's engaged with blocks. And he is able to use that leverage at the point of attack, and uses it to his full advantage. He's really good in the run game. I feel like he more so not necessarily is the guy that's getting the tackle, but he's forcing the running back to kind of go the opposite direction, and usually runs away from. So, he's clearly ready for the physicality of the NFL. Big, strong, and has powerful arms that I feel like will serve him well the NFL. But I think he'll do well on the inside, especially on passing downs, in the NFL. But I think the only kind of knock on him again is a little bit raw, and I feel like he may he sometimes isn't able to shed those blocks. He's able to stay engaged, which at times can be very useful, but isn't always able to get off those blocks. So something he certainly needs to work on in the next level. But hey, listen, Howie, if we want to make an unprecedented third straight D tackle from Georgia, Nazir Stackhouse would be a great pick. Probably, like I said, probably in the third round, probably towards the end of the third round is where we hopefully will be drafting. So you never know. Howie and the Eagles do love their D linemen. So yeah, I think that would honestly, I think it would be just hilarious if they drafted them.
When in doubt, man, I'm telling you, if like there's a question and the talent is, when BPA comes down to the line and it's this guy Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia or another guy,
right?
I can't say no.
I mean, again, if it's between him and a linebacker, they're gonna not choose a linebacker. So
1,000. Yeah, I think day 2 is a good bet. I think Georgia fans know his value. Doesn't have jaw-dropping stats, but yeah, if you're looking for like an early down run stuffer, Nazir Stackhouse is your boy. He's got upside too, for sure. I thought he was one of my guys that I was expecting a huge breakout season this year. Didn't really happen, but definitely a guy to know for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Let's go to another borderline blue chip talent, but didn't really kind of put it all together. He is Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State, coming in number 7. Injuries were an issue for him in 2022, but man, when on the field, 6'2", 290 pounds, man, Hall is undersized, but an absolute menace when he's on the football field. The physical tools, man, present the biggest appeal here. Extremely dense, well-leveraged lineman, great length, plus explosiveness, excellent agility off the snap. At his peak, that's what he is. Like, he's got all the physical foundations from a physical standpoint: explosiveness, lateral freedom, leverage, length, rotational torque. He can demolish blocks, reset offensive lines. He's a very good physical prospect. But nevertheless, Hall is still striving for more consistency across all the major areas of his game across his 3 seasons at Ohio State. His balance can still be an issue at times. His pass rush arsenal has room to expand beyond like swims and clubs. Going further, he doesn't quite have the high-level play strength as a run defender you would like to see. And he needs to further refine his pass rush moveset. But even so, like I said, with some of these other guys, it just takes one team, and all the tools are there for Hall to be a stellar rotational 3-tech right away in the NFL. There have been many flashes of high-level execution as a pass rusher in big moments, especially this season. His ability to shed and make plays in run pursuit are all there. I think this guy's going to crush the combine. I think he has real potential to be a high riser and even be a top 50 fringe guy if he puts it all together, tests well, interviews well, because he's been a big-time prospect for a long time. Michael Hall Jr. is definitely one to watch for. Day 2 guy for me, as we keep saying. Definitely keep an eye out for Michael Hall Jr.
Yeah, you know what? You had up there taller Kalijah Cansey prospect, and I feel like every year, and that reminded me because the last couple of years, there's been a D tackle that has kind of just skyrocketed up the boards, like maybe a couple of weeks prior to the draft, and I feel like with a solid showing, at the combine. I feel like Hall could be that guy, honestly, where, he probably improve his stock after the combine. But, it's one of those things where, a couple of weeks right before the, rankings can come out, everybody's updating stuff. And then all of a sudden there's a guy that you're like, wait a minute, wasn't he like round 2 guy? Now he's, all of a sudden he's like round 1. Again, I don't know if he'll go that high, but I think he's a type that'll be able to shoot up a draft board. For sure, when it comes to coming right before the draft.
That's a great take. Love that. And I'm right on it with you there. Especially we just went through a list of guys that are like more run defenders. I definitely think Michael could give you a lot more. Teams love that.
That's what I think. That's why he stands out. I think his skill set, his pass rushing skill set, is that of more of a what the NFL wants their D tackles to become. Because
Yeah.
again, it's a passing league, so you're going to need more, pass rush. So it doesn't just have to be from the edge; it needs to come from the interior now too. So
Passing league, man. All right. Leading off, number 7. We've come to that point in the show, Ryan. Where we just apologies in advance. Sorry, but we're gonna butcher this. Rook
Yep.
Orohoro, out
Sure.
of Clemson, as Clemson's defense has been just absolutely loaded on defense this year. But thoughts on Rook?
Yeah, listen, I think there's a rule where I'm only allowed once per day to correctly get someone's name right, and I already used that up in the when we were doing our pre game for this. So I'm just going to call him Rook moving forward. Maybe I'll try again tomorrow, but yeah, listen, this guy is just he just screams athletic. He's got a great frame, an NFL body, long, and has I feel like through his collegiate career is really kind of shored up that frame and added some strength, and certainly something that I feel like he will absolutely continue to go down that path and only get stronger and bigger, which will only help him further down the line. But he is rather tall. He's 6'4", but despite that, he has a really powerful lower body and plays with really good leverage. He has strong, violent, heavy hands, good upper body strength, is able to win with power, but also able to win with agility and skill to kind of get around. Holds up really well at point of attacks. Can occupy double teams. Almost kind of sometimes it looks like with ease, where he wants it and knows his role. So great motor, constantly trying to attack, and really smart. You can tell that he kind of knows what's coming. And again, as I said previously, we got another high school wrestler, and somebody that utilizes his balance that way. So maybe this is the route. If you want to be a good D tackle, maybe start wrestling. I don't know, but yeah, as far as kind of maybe some negatives on him, his skill set as far as pass rush certainly could use some pointers. Doesn't really have a very good spin move, a little slow, a little robotic, mechanical. He is very susceptible to cut blocks, and the offense knows it. I feel like they really utilize that to get after Rooks. But yeah, listen, I think again he is somebody that is probably one of the more raw players here that we'll be talking about. And I just think again more time playing football, and I think he's kind of a guy that will probably be a late bloomer in the NFL. But I've loved this Clemson defense. Obviously, as we all won't shut up about Trot Jr. But once you get past him, there are really some really good prospects that are going to be successful in the NFL, and I think Rook is definitely going to be one of them. I may not see it right away, but I feel like 2-3 years down the line, he's going to be a full-time starter, creating havoc in the middle there for sure. Oh, you're muted.
My bad. I like Rook a lot, and I think you're right on it. I think this is a guy who's going to crush the combine. Absolutely, combine with his athleticism. So there's that. So I think it's going to be a high riser there. The other thing I'm looking at is him potentially maybe being a defensive end in a 3-4. Potentially, got more like A to B speed. We'll see. But any defensive coordinator that's getting this dude is basically getting a mold of clay to kind of
Mhm.
figure out and coach and refine. And again, all the pieces of the puzzle are on the table for Rook. It's just a matter of someone kind of refining that. And
Yeah,
he's
no,
got
I
his play strength and power and athleticism are outstanding.
Yeah, I think you could be on the money there because the size of him definitely leans more towards somebody out on the edge. But I think if he gets to the NFL and like you said, somebody's able to kind of improve the pass rush skill set because it certainly needs some refining. And I think
Yeah.
if you really hone in on that and kick him to the outside, he certainly could be very successful that way too. So it'll be interesting to see kind of his NFL path and maybe where he fits. So
All right. Rolling on to number 9, Tyleek Williams out of Ohio State, Michael Hall Jr.'s partner in crime. Tyleek Williams is all about upside, upside, and more upside. Great combination of size, strength, athleticism. He's got a really high ceiling. But as we mentioned many times before on this show today, inconsistency is his biggest issue. Uh, he'll have reps that are eye popping on film, and then he'll get beat on similar reps later in the same game. Part of that can be tied to his youth and experience, but if we're talking about a day 2 guy, it's a gamble. Athleticism wise, Tyleek Williams does have a lot of twitch on tape, which you'd love to see from a defensive tackle prospect. There's a lot there. Like Rukaroro, like some of these other guys, the physical foundation traits are pretty damn impressive. He's got excellent strength at the point of attack to reset offensive lines, win at the line of scrimmage. I think he's great at shedding through blocks and collapsing pockets. However, his measurables during the combine and pre-draft process will be super important to watch. He could have short arms, which could limit how much extension he gets in the NFL, whereas a lot of these guys definitely could play inside and out. I don't necessarily think this is that guy. In summary, I think this guy has the upside to be a 3-down player in the NFL once it's all there and he's putting it all together. I think this is a guy that's going to thrive most in a penetration front at the next level. Definitely has the potential to be a plus starter. But definitely a boom or bust guy for sure. Low floor, high ceiling kind of dude. Tyleek Williams out of Ohio State is one to watch out for, and that is number 9.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that Ohio State tandem there is pretty scary for sure. And the fact that you have 2 guys there in our top 10 list, right next to each other, it's not fun to run against Ohio State. That's for darn
Nope.
sure, especially not in the middle.
Nope. All right, and rounding out our top 10 defensive prospects is McKinley Jackson out of Texas A&M. Lead us off, Ryan.
Yeah, listen, McKinley certainly is one that he's great at getting and penetrating the gaps. He is great at getting to the running back, forcing the running back to avoid him. And again, that's kind of the D tackle's job is in a perfect world is to, if you're not going to be able to get to the running back, man, get him to go another direction and right into one of your teammates. And Jackson does that really well. He is, he's kind of a big guy, but he has really good feet, good agility, and really capable of working laterally down as far as the line of scrimmage in pursuit. So great burst. Like I said, able to really penetrate. He has big hands. Great at blocking passes, just getting his hands up in those passing lanes. And really kind of has the intelligence to kind of follow the play. And I think that's what makes him so really, so good at blocking those passes. But yeah, he unfortunately doesn't necessarily move laterally all that well. His inconsistency has certainly been his biggest, detractor. He has great hands, as I said, and gets them in the way, and is and at the point of attack was really able to utilize them violently, which is exactly what you want. But he's inconsistent, and he tends to kind of, let his blockers get the leverage on him, and he doesn't get his hands involved. So, and that unfortunately kind of, he's seen kind of stuck on blocks rather than, getting himself involved in the play. But yeah, listen, he's kind of like I said, a smart player, a little crafty. He's really good against that run. And I just think, again, he needs to kind of work on his hands consistency, his block shedding consistency, and maybe a little better lateral movement. But yeah, I do like McKinley Jackson. Certainly going to be mid, probably I'd say midday day three. What's up, Daniel? Midday three kind of guy. But again, he's kind of short and built. I think one report I said he's built. Somebody said he's built like a bowling ball, which I found really funny because he kind of is. If you saw him, you're like, yeah, a little bit. But yeah, listen, I think he can put up some impressive numbers in some of the skills at the combine, and I think he's definitely a guy that can be effective in the run game, and I just don't know if he's a 3-down kind of guy in the NFL. He certainly has the skill set, but he has to expand on it.
Yeah, he was one of my breakout players to watch on my notes, along with Nazir Stackhouse.
Okay.
But didn't really have that great of a season. Didn't really click. He lost a little weight as well. He's a nose tackle prospect. I think he's probably round 3-ish at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say probably round 4, early 4, maybe. Yeah, but yeah, I could definitely see him sneaking into the 3rd.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks for joining, Daniel. That wraps up our defense, man. We have now officially addressed top 10 positional rankings at every position, defensive position in the 2024 NFL Draft. Sure, as always, guys, we throw these position rankings to be voted on our YouTube channel here. So obviously, look, given the Eagles' needs, it has been heavy defense. We've only addressed one offensive position, which is offensive tackle.
Right, which we all know we're going to eventually need a lane replacement. So it all makes sense, Eagles fans.
Yeah, that's great. But let's wrap it up. And then we'll close up shop. Ryan, final thoughts on the defensive tackles? Plugs?
Yeah, listen, like I said, I think this group doesn't necessarily maybe have the top heaviness as of last year with some of the prospects, Jalen Carter and the like. But I think kind of when you compact this top 10, I think the top 10 overall versus the top 10 last year, I think we have a more skilled group here. I can definitely see more D tackles getting drafted than last year earlier on. So, and I think a lot of these rankings are going to move around because I think I want to say maybe like 4 to 10 right here in our listing anyway. I feel like could move all over the place and move right back. And again, the combine is going to be certainly something. All the pro days, the Senior Bowl, et cetera, et cetera. It's certainly going to affect some things, but yeah, this is why we do this early on now, and we'll continue to update stuff. And we're not stopping. We're doing this all the way right up until we're probably going to have to close out a show about 5 minutes prior to the draft, I'm sure. And maybe we'll get one mock draft in before the actual draft. But yeah, listen, this has been fun. I'm glad we're done with the defense. Time to move on the offense. We'll let you guys vote. But otherwise, please make sure you're tuned in to Edge of Philly Sports, especially on the YouTube. Check out all of the draft prospects. We've done top 10s, as we said, on all the defense positions and O tackles. We've done top 10 for we're doing all 4 of the playoff teams. We're going to be doing some of those coming up shortly. But then also check out this guy. He literally has pumped out like 500 draft profiles. They're all over the place. So check them out. Get yourself familiar with some of these guys. Spend a little time on them. Best way to start. Get involved. Watch Dibes's draft profiles. They're all over Twitter as well. So please like, follow, support anything you can do to help. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I just started putting them on Twitter. We have a long way to go, man. It's overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. Like when you think you're like ahead of the game, like you're not even close. Like,
well, that's the thing. It's theoretically you are, and yeah. See, the dog agrees. Completely ahead of the game, and but there's always so much more to do. There's what when you think you can no longer do anymore. There's 100 more prospects you can still take a look at. So so don't like I said, get involved. Watch some of these videos. Honestly, I've looked at these. I've gone over tape and I've gone over profiles for some of these guys, but I'll look at something he's done and it'll make me want to dive back further in to one of these guys. And that's all, honestly, I think is the best part about all this is, you can get involved on any stage and at any level. You really only care about, like me. I love linebackers. You only care about linebackers. The Eagles need linebackers. Why not? Well, let's think about some linebackers. So dive into that and just get yourself started, and then let yourself go down that rabbit hole. So,
all right, man. Let's close up shop again. Thank you everyone for watching. All the links for all of our other positional rankings are in the description box below. So if there's a prospect or a position group you're most interested about or want to learn about, it's all right there. Be on the lookout, and please be sure to subscribe to vote for your favorite positional groups. I can't wait to do I shit you not, I've put in wide receiver on every single one of them, and no one's really voting for it, but it's widely the most deep and strongest group in this class, I think. It's awesome. It is such a fun group of players that I love. And that's going to be a top 20 ranking because you could easily I could easily present 5 guys that will be day 3 guys that I think are underrated and things like that. So it's strong. So guys, if you're watching this, please vote for wide receivers. That's my point. But
nice.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. We're gonna pump out another live video tomorrow. Are we doing Washington or Texas?
I thought we were doing Washington.
Washington would be easier. Washington would be easier.
True.
Definitely
so we'll save Texas for maybe Monday, right before the championship game.
So we have been getting ready for the college football playoff with our top 10 draft prospects on the Big Four. We did Bama and Michigan. Tomorrow we'll be doing our top 10 prospects on Washington, and they are loaded. So be sure to check out. I'm not sure what time we'll be doing it, but be on the lookout. And then we'll wrap it up with Texas on Monday. A lot of guys we kind of already talked about. But just to put a bow on all this thing, I do think we should do some sort of reaction show to the semifinal, Ryan. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, totally.
Winners, losers, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm down.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. He is Ryan Reese. Go give him a shout out. Go give him a follow on X at Philly Sports PSA. Check out Philly Sports Alliance on Facebook, wherever you get your podcasts. Just a ridiculous list of shows there. I am Dibes, Mr. Crockpot. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay awesome, everyone.